Hello and welcome to Relatable Code. In this video, we're going to work with fragments to see how we can send data back to the previous fragment. So let's get started. Now, we have already seen how to send data forward between fragments in the previous video. If you haven't watched that, make sure to do so, because this video will explore the same fragments, but with sending data back to the previous fragment. Okay, so in the setup that we had in that video, we had this application right here. We had a first fragment, a second fragment, and a third fragment. Okay. I have modified the backstack of the third fragment again, and I removed the pop-up 2, which we had right here in that action, because I want it to behave normally. In this case, because we want to send data back to the previous fragment. Okay. And now I'm going to show you two different approaches to sending data back to the previous fragment, and I'll mention which approach I prefer to use in my applications. Okay, so let's begin with the first approach, which involves the navigation controller itself. So it's coupled to the navigation controller, and we're going to send data back from second fragment to first fragment. Okay. So you will go to your second fragment and we will send a simple string back to our first fragment. Okay. And it involves working with the navigation controller. But in the second fragment, you don't have access to the navigation controller, which you declared in the main activity. But there's a function that can give you this navigation controller, and it's called find NavController. Okay. It will find the navigation controller in the scope of second fragment, which will happen because second fragment is a part of our main activity. Okay, because it's tied to the nav graph, which we are using in our main activity. So you'll go to your second fragment and you will write nav controller. And here you want to access that nav controller with previousBackStackEntry. Okay, you're going to modify the backstack entry of the previous destination, which is in our case the first fragment. Okay, and after that you will access the savedStateHandle of that backstack entry. Okay, and the savedStateHandle is like a key value pair, which allows you to store different types of data, similar to the key value pair which you will find here in the main activity with your onCreate method. You already have a saved instance state bundle which you can work with, and that bundle is the key value pair which we are dealing with right here inside our second fragment with savedStateHandle. Okay, that's it. And after that, what you will want to do is to set a new value into that savedStateHandle so that you can save a key value pair into that map. Okay, so here you will need a key, and we will just use something like string key. And after that, you will have to supply the value which you want to send back to the first fragment. In our case, let's just use something simple like data from second fragment. Okay, and after that, you will need to handle this inside your first fragment. But before we do that, let's add a null check here as well, just to make sure that we have a previous backstack entry and we have a saved instance state. Okay, so that we don't get a null pointer exception. So here we set this data into the saved state handle of our previous destination, which is first fragment. So now we want to go to this first fragment, and we need to intercept that bundle, basically. Okay, that saved instance state. We need to find out what happened to it. So inside your onViewCreated, you will also try to find your NavController, but this time you will look into the current backstack entry because you want to observe that bundle inside your first fragment, inside the current destination in this case. So after that, add a null check and click on savedStateHandle. After that, you will want to access this method, the getLiveData. And here we need getLiveData because we want to observe the changes that are happening to this savedStateHandle. And LiveData is like a special type of class which has the purpose of holding some certain data. And this LiveData will help us in our case because it will let us observe the changes that is happening to our data. Okay, so here we're trying to observe the changes happening to a string, and we have to supply a key that we're observing. In our case, we go to our second fragment, and that's our string key. Okay, so that's our key. We need to add a null check right here. And as I've told you, you can observe the changes that are happening to the value of this key with a function called observe. And LiveData helps us in this case because it lets many components listen to the changes that are happening to our data, but it needs components that have life cycles in particular. Okay, so we're talking about activities and fragments in our case. So here, as a parameter for the observe method, we need to add a lifecycle owner. In our case, it will be our fragment, but here we're going to pass view lifecycle owner because we want to pass the lifecycle of the view of this fragment. Okay, that's the recommended approach with LiveData and fragments. And after that, we just need to open this lambda block. Okay, because here we will now have access to the string which is getting passed from second fragment back to our first fragment. Okay, so what we're going to do here is something very simple, which is basically binding.textView.text equals to it, referring to our string right here. Okay, and that's pretty much it. I know that was a lot of information, but that's really all there is to it. Okay, so in your second fragment, you want to get that NavController, and you want to modify the savedStateHandle of the previous destination. You want to update a value inside that map, and you want to update this key with this value. Okay, and in the first fragment, you have to listen to the updates happening to this handle, and you can do that with savedStateHandle.getLiveData, which lets you listen to live updates happening to this data. Okay, that's why it's called LiveData. So you supply the key right here, and then you call a function .observe, which lets you observe changes happening to this data as long as this fragment can observe that change, which means this fragment has to be in an active state, like the onStart or the onResume state. Okay, so that it can listen to these changes. And when this change happens, you're updating the text of your text view. Okay, so go ahead and run your application. Okay, and here we have our first fragment. We click on navigate to go to our second fragment, and if I click on the back button, here you can see we have data from second fragment, which is the string that we're passing from our second fragment to the first fragment right here. That's how you set up the first method of sending data back to the previous fragment. Okay? Okay, so now we're going to send data back from our third fragment to our second fragment using the second method. Okay, so go into your third fragment right there. And this method just necessitates that both fragments have the same activity. Okay, so inside your third fragment, you're going to call the fragment manager of your parent activity with parent fragment manager, and you're going to call a method called setFragmentResult. Okay, with setFragmentResult, you're also going to supply a key Let's do that here with a string key. Let's use another key like request key in this case. And for the second parameter, it will be a bundle. Okay, so you can create a bundle like this. And that's pretty much it. That's how you create a bundle, but we want to put some data into that bundle so that we can intercept it back in the second fragment. Okay, and you can do that easily with bundle.apply. You can put a string, you can put an integer, I think you can put serializables and parsellables as well. You can pass any data that you want in this way. Let's pass a simple string again and have this something like third fragment string as a key. And let's supply a value here with data from third fragment. Okay, so we call this method, which expected a key and a bundle. We modified the contents of that bundle using the .apply function, and we put a string into that bundle. Okay, now inside our second fragment, we want to listen to this result and also update a text to display this data. Okay, so go to your second fragment right here, and you will also need to reference your parent fragment manager. And here you will want to call a method which is setFragmentResultListener. Okay, let's implement it. It will first expect a key. Let's move that back. Our key is request key. Copy that. And as a second parameter, it expects a lifecycle owner. We are also going to use our view lifecycle owner. And as a third parameter, this will be our fragment result listener, which we can get with this lambda block. It will expect two parameters, our request key and a result. Okay, that's it. And here we want to update the value of our text view according to the result, which is in our case having the string with this key at least. Remember, you have a key for the fragment result and a key for the string that you want here, which is why they gave you two references here to work with. Okay, in case you want to work with different request keys, if you have that kind of logic or flow in your application, you have the flexibility of doing that here inside this method. Okay, so it's very flexible. And after that, let's run our application. I think that should be it. So that's our application, first fragment, second fragment. This is our third fragment. If I navigate back, I get data from third fragment. Okay, that's how you send data back from the third fragment to the second fragment using the fragment result listener. Okay. Now, choosing between these two methods really depends on the setup in your application. I normally encourage using the second approach so that fragments can be decoupled from the navigation logic if you want. Okay, but it's really up to you. If you find my type of content to be relatable, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for future content, and I'll see you in the next video.